When Jake caught Maria sneaking texts to her work friend, his world flipped. Instead of rage, he crafted a plan. Calm, calculated, and devastatingly clever. Watch how one man turns betrayal into a masterclass in self-respect, leaving his ex scrambling for excuses. Hit like, subscribe for more, and drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. Jake Torres, 32, had a knack for fixing things. Cars, friendships, even the neighbor's busted grill before a block party. In Miami's Coconut Grove, his auto shop was a hub for locals who trusted his steady hands and quick laugh. He'd built a life with Maria, 30, a marketing exec whose confidence lit up rooms. Their apartment, a short walk from the shop, hummed with routine. Jake tinkering late, Maria glued to her phone, her fingers dancing over the screen like it held the key to her next promotion. It started with a text. Jake was wiping grease off his hands one humid evening, the buzz of a fan cutting through the heat. Maria's phone, left on the kitchen counter, lit up with a message from Chris. Work. Late meeting again. Miss you. Jake froze, the words searing into him. He didn't snoop. Never had. But the screen stayed on, and another text followed. Can't wait for drinks tomorrow. Maria was in the shower, oblivious. Jake set the phone down, his pulse steady, but his mind racing. He wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, but he wasn't a fool either. Instead of confronting her, Jake watched. He'd always been methodical, the guy who double-checked a carburetor before calling it done. Over the next week, he noticed Maria's patterns shift. She stayed late at her downtown office, claiming deadlines. Her phone never left her side, locked with a new passcode. When he suggested a Saturday walk along the marina, she brushed it off, saying, "Work's insane, babe. Next time." Her eyes didn't meet his, fixed instead on her screen. Jake tested the waters. He cooked her favorite, ropa vieja, and set the table for a no-phones dinner. Maria showed up 20 minutes late, texting through the meal. "Client emergency," she muttered, barely touching the food. Jake didn't push, just cleared the plates and noted the lie. The next day, he spotted her car parked at a Coral Gables cafe, not her office. Through the window, she laughed with a guy in a sharp blazer, her hand brushing his arm. Jake drove past, his jaw tight, but his plan forming. He started preparing. At the shop, he confided in Luis, his best friend and a fellow mechanic with a knack for reading people. "Something's off," Jake said, swapping a spark plug. Luis nodded, tossing him a wrench. "Trust your gut, man. Check the evidence." Jake did. He screenshot Maria's calendar invites, late, team meetings that didn't match her firm's schedule. He found a receipt for a wine bar in her purse, dated for a night she'd claimed to be working late. Each clue stacked like tools in his mental toolbox. The neighborhood block party was the tipping point. Jake manned the grill, flipping burgers for kids and chatting with neighbors. Maria arrived late, her laugh louder than usual, trailing a guy Jake hadn't seen before. "Chris, from work," she introduced, her smile too bright. Chris shook Jake's hand, his grip weak but his eyes bold. They stood too close, Maria's shoulder grazing Chris's as she joked about office chaos. The neighbors noticed. Nora, the no-nonsense retiree across the street, raised an eyebrow at Jake. He nodded back, flipping a burger with precision, his calm masking a decision. That night, Jake opened a separate bank account. He moved his tools to Luis's garage, citing shop renovations. He didn't yell or accuse, he acted. Maria came home, scrolling her phone, unaware of the shift. "Good party?" Jake asked, casual. "Yeah, fun," she said, not looking up. He poured a glass of water, sipped, and thought, "This ends on my terms." Jake Torres wasn't one to let emotions cloud his judgment. At 32, he'd built a reputation in Miami's Coconut Grove as the mechanic who could diagnose a car's issue by sound alone. But now, his focus was on a different puzzle, Maria's betrayal. Her flirty texts with Chris, her work friend, and their cozy moment at the block party had confirmed Jake's suspicions. He didn't confront her yet. Instead, he leaned into strategy, treating the situation like a complex engine he needed to disassemble carefully. The next morning, Jake woke early, the hum of Coconut Grove traffic filtering through the apartment window. Maria was still asleep, her phone charging on the nightstand. He didn't touch it. He'd already seen enough. Texts, receipts, her dismissive shrugs. At the shop, he threw himself into work, aligning tires and joking with customers, but his mind was mapping next steps. Luis, wiping oil off his hands, caught Jake's quiet intensity. "You got a plan, don't you?" he asked, leaning against a toolbox. Jake nodded. "Gathering parts. Need the right moment to assemble." Jake's first move was subtle. He suggested a movie night at the Miracle Theater, a local spot they'd loved early in their marriage. Maria agreed, but when the lights dimmed, her phone glowed, her thumbs tapping out messages. Jake glanced over. Chris's name flashed before she tilted the screen away. He didn't flinch, just sipped his soda and filed it away. The next day, he proposed a Sunday brunch at Green Street Cafe. Maria canceled last minute, citing a client pitch. Jake drove by the cafe anyway, spotting her with Chris, sharing a mimosa and a laugh. He snapped a photo from his truck, time-stamped. His evidence grew. Maria's calendar showed team dinners that her coworkers later denied attending. Jake cross-checked her firm's social media. No mention of the late-night project she claimed. He kept his routine steady, grilling for neighbors or fixing a kid's bike, but he quietly rerouted his direct deposit to a new account. Bills stayed covered, but his personal funds were now his own. He rented a storage unit in Key Biscayne, moving his prized toolbox and a few clothes there, explaining to Maria it was for shop overflow. She didn't question it, too absorbed in her phone. The tension spiked at a friend's game night in Coral Gables. Jake arrived with a six-pack, greeted by cheers from Nora and Luis. Maria showed up late, Chris trailing her like an uninvited shadow. She introduced him again, her voice overly casual. He was nearby, figured he'd join. Chris smirked, offering Jake a handshake that felt like a challenge. During Cards Against Humanity, Maria laughed too hard at Chris's jokes, her hand lingering on his wrist. Nora shot Jake a look, sympathy mixed with disgust. Jake kept his cool, winning a round with a sharp quip, but he noted every glance Maria threw Chris's way. After the game, Jake pulled Luis aside. "I'm setting a trap," he said, voice low. "Need your help." Luis grinned. "Name it." Jake outlined his plan. A staged dinner where he'd expose Maria's lies. But it had to look organic, not vengeful. Luis agreed to host, inviting their tight-knit crew. Jake spent the next day preparing, printing screenshots of Maria's texts, and syncing them to a shared cloud folder. He wasn't out for blood, just clarity. Maria's betrayal had rewritten their rules, and Jake was ready to play by his own. That night, Maria came home humming, oblivious to Jake's moves. "Big day tomorrow?" he asked, rinsing a plate. "Just work," she said, scrolling. Jake dried his hands, his calm masking a fire. The dinner was set, and Maria had no idea the spotlight was about to turn. Jake Torres had always been the guy who fixed problems quietly, whether it was a neighbor's busted AC or a tricky transmission at his Coconut Grove auto shop. Now, at 32, he was engineering a different kind of fix, exposing Maria's affair with precision, not drama. The 30-year-old marketing exec had been slipping through their marriage with lies, her work friend, Chris, at the center of her secret texts and canceled plans. Jake's evidence, screenshots, receipts, timestamps, was locked and loaded. Tonight, at Luis's rooftop dinner, he'd shift the gears. Luis's apartment in Miami's Brickell buzzed with their crew. Nora, the sharp-eyed retiree, Sophia, a local barista with a quick wit, and Rob, a contractor who always brought the beer. Jake had framed the night as a group reset, casual enough to keep Maria unsuspicious. She arrived late, her phone in hand, Chris trailing her like a bad habit. "He was free," she said, shrugging as she grabbed a soda. Jake nodded, flipping a burger on the grill, his calm a calculated front. The table was set, a projector screen rigged to the wall for game night slides. Luis caught Jake's eye and smirked, showtime. As plates filled with empanadas and ribs, Jake steered the conversation light, asking Rob about his latest renovation. Maria laughed too loudly at Chris's bland jokes, her shoulder brushing his. Sophia raised an eyebrow, whispering to Nora, who nodded grimly. Jake waited, letting the group's chatter build a relaxed vibe. Then, as dessert hit the table, he stood, tapping his glass. "Got a quick slideshow," he said. "Moments from the last few months. Thought it'd be fun." Maria barely looked up, scrolling. The first slide showed a group shot from the block party, all smiles. The second was a screenshot, Maria's text to Chris, "Miss you, drinks tomorrow?" The rooftop went silent. Maria's phone clattered onto the table. "What is this?" she snapped, standing. Jake clicked to the next slide, a photo of her and Chris at the Coral Gables Cafe, timestamped during her client pitch. Then another, her calendar's fake, team meeting. "Just sharing our story," Jake said, voice even. "You've been busy." Chris shifted, muttering, "This is private, man." Jake ignored him, clicking to a final slide, a lease transfer form for their apartment, his name already removed. "I'm out," he said, locking eyes with Maria. "You wanted freedom. You got it." Sophia gasped, Rob swore under his breath, and Nora clapped slowly, a grin spreading. Maria stammered, "You're twisting this. It's just work stress." Jake slid a folder across the table, printed texts, dates, locations. "Stress doesn't lie this well," he said. The group erupted. Sophia called Chris out for crashing their circle. Rob told Maria to own her choices. Chris bolted for the stairs, mumbling excuses. Maria grabbed Jake's arm, her voice low. "You're humiliating me." Jake stepped back. "You humiliated us. I'm just making it public." He turned to the group, thanking Louise for hosting, then walked to the elevator. Maria shouted after him, "This isn't over." Jake didn't turn. The doors closed, the hum of the descent matching his steady pulse. By morning, the group chat was on fire. Sophia shared a clip of Maria's stunned exit, already viral among their friends. Jake didn't engage, just packed a bag and drove to his Key Biscayne storage unit, where his tools and new life waited. Maria's betrayal was out, and Jake's next move was already in motion. Jake Torres, 32, had shifted gears. After exposing Maria's affair at Luis's rooftop dinner, he'd left their Coconut Grove apartment and her lies behind. The Miami mechanic, known for solving problems with a wrench and a steady hand, was now rebuilding his life. Maria, 30, scrambled to salvage her reputation, but Jake was done playing her game. His focus was forward, a new place, new routines, and a clear line drawn against disrespect. Jake settled into a compact Key Biscayne rental, a one-bedroom with a view of the bay where fishing boats bobbed at dawn. He unpacked his tools, setting up a workbench in the corner, and signed the lease with a deposit from his separate account. At the shop, he threw himself into a new project, optimizing delivery routes for a client's food truck fleet. His boss, impressed by the efficiency, bumped him to lead on the account, with a raise that covered his rent. Luis, his wingman, slapped his back. "You're killing it, man. Keep moving." Maria didn't let go easily. Her texts flooded Jake's phone the day after the dinner, apologies laced with excuses. "I was stressed. It meant nothing. Let's talk." Jake replied once. "Talk's over. Lease is yours." She called, leaving voicemails that swung from tearful to sharp. He deleted them unplayed. By noon, their group chat lit up with screenshots of Maria's posts on social media, claiming Jake overreacted to her work friendship. Sophia, the barista, shut it down with a link to the rooftop clip, now at 2,000 views. "Own it, Maria," she wrote. The group went quiet, siding with Jake's evidence. At a local gym, Jake joined a running club, pounding the pavement along Crandon Boulevard. The group, a mix of locals and transplants, welcomed his dry humor and easy pace. One runner, Elena, a 29-year-old teacher, matched his stride and asked about his shop. He mentioned his split from Maria, keeping it brief. "She chose someone else. I chose myself." Elena nodded, sharing a story about her cat's obsession with cardboard boxes. They grabbed coffee after, splitting the bill. No sparks, just a real conversation, refreshing. Maria's world wobbled. Her firm's office gossip, fueled by the viral clip, made her pitches awkward. Clients whispered about her drama. She tried rallying their old crew for a game night, but only Chris showed, and even he bailed early. Nora, the retiree, texted Jake. "She's throwing darts in the dark. Nobody's catching." Jake didn't gloat. He grilled fish tacos for Luis and Sophia at his new place, the bay breeze cooling their laughter. His phone stayed silent, Maria's messages slowing to a trickle. Jake's YouTube channel, started as a side hustle for car repair tips, gained traction. He posted a video titled "Rebuilding After a Wreck," framing his split as a lesson in self-respect, not revenge. Comments poured in. "Your goals, man. Respect for walking away." Views climbed to 4,000, subscribers inching toward his 5,000 goal. At the shop, he mentored a new hire, teaching him to spot a bad alternator by sound. Life felt lighter, his steps deliberate. Maria's shadow loomed, but Jake was already in drive, leaving her in the rearview. Jake Torres, 32, had rebuilt his life from the ground up. After publicly exposing Maria's affair at a rooftop dinner, the Miami mechanic had moved to a Key Biscayne rental, leaving behind their Coconut Grove apartment and her web of lies. Now, with a promotion at his auto shop and a growing YouTube channel, Jake was carving out a future rooted in self-respect. Maria, 30, faced the fallout of her choices, her social circle shrinking as the truth settled in. Jake wasn't chasing vengeance, he was chasing clarity. The weeks following the rooftop showdown were quiet but deliberate. Jake's new routine revolved around his shop, where he led a logistics overhaul for a client's delivery vans, saving them thousands in fuel costs. His boss handed him a bonus, which he used to buy a used kayak, paddling the bay at sunrise for the calm it brought. His running club became a staple, their Saturday loops around Key Biscayne ending with coffee at a local diner. Elena, the teacher, joined him regularly, sharing stories of her classroom antics over Cuban espresso. Their talks stayed light, grounded in mutual respect, not flirtation. Maria's attempts to claw back control fizzled. She posted a vague apology on social media, framing herself as overwhelmed and misunderstood. The comments were brutal. Friends like Sophia called out her deflections, linking back to the viral rooftop clip, now at 10,000 views. Maria's firm demoted her to smaller accounts after clients cited her personal issues as a distraction. She reached out to Jake one last time, a long text promising therapy and a fresh start. He read it, then blocked her number. The lease was hers, the past was not. Jake's YouTube channel hit 5,000 subscribers after his latest video, Lessons from a Breakdown. In it, he shared how he'd walked away from a marriage that diminished him, emphasizing boundaries over bitterness. Respect isn't negotiable, he said, his voice steady against the backdrop of his shop. Viewers flooded the comments. This hit home. You're a legend for standing up. He pinned a comment urging followers to share their own stories of reclaiming their worth, boosting engagement. Luis, ever the hype man, texted, "You're a damn influencer now." At a local car show in South Beach, Jake displayed a restored vintage Mustang, a side project he'd finished in his rental's garage. The crowd loved it, and a local blogger interviewed him, amplifying his story. He spoke plainly. "I left a situation that didn't value me. Now I build what does." Elena, there to cheer him on, handed him a soda and asked about his next project. "Maybe a boat," he joked, but her genuine curiosity stuck with him. Nora, watching from the sidelines, nodded approvingly. "You've got spine, kid." Maria relocated to Orlando, chasing a new job and a clean slate. Word got back through Rob that she was figuring things out, her social media now private. Jake didn't care to check. Their old crew stayed loyal to him, inviting him to barbecues and poker nights, where laughter drowned out any lingering ghosts. He hosted a small one himself, grilling snapper on his tiny porch, the bay glinting under moonlight. Sophia raised a glass to Jake, who didn't settle. He clinked back, his smile real. Jake's life was his own again. The shop hummed, his kayak bobbed in the water, and his channel grew. He wasn't a hero or a victim, just a man who'd chosen himself over a lie. The moral wasn't revenge, it was resolve. Maria faced her consequences, not through cruelty, but through the truth's weight. Jake paddled out the next morning, the horizon wide, his hands steady on the oars.